I just realized we've accidentally been staring at a dump truck for like 2 minutes. Like we've got like a stacked CGI dude. Holy cow. All right. Let's go back to where he slapboxes the guy's arm off. What's up, everybody? Mark with Kardavox Academy here. And today, today I am tired. Today I am exhausted. Last night we had a big, huge celebration on our patron Discord server for the 1-year anniversary of the Discord server. And let me tell you, it was rowdy. It was rowdy. We had, so many people on there. It went till like 3 a.m. my time, which is Pacific for now. So yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot, and your boy is sleepy. But content shall come to all of you, and so today we're going to be talking about Whitechapel, Lost Boy. Now, this is their most recent song as far as I'm aware, and a lot of people have been saying, hey, you got to check this out. You got to check this out. And anytime we get to listen to or talk about Phil Bozeman, it's a good time. It's a good day. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Now, if you're new to the channel, my name again is Mark. I am a metal vocalist myself in 3 bands, Kardashev, Neverbreath, and Viremia. I'm also a metal vocal coach, primarily focused on teaching people all these gritty, gross, disgusting noises. Some clean singing as well, since I do some of that as well, but most of my students want to learn how to sound like toilet bowls and rusty drain pipes, so that's what I focus on. And here, we take the reaction format, we break it down, we try to make it as educational as possible, and we try to have a good time. So, if you like the content, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. It means a lot to this guy. We're getting close to 100,000. I'm very excited about that. If you really like the content, be sure to check us out on Patreon. You can hang out in our Friday listening party events. It's a lot of fun. And beyond that, let's just go ahead and let's get into it. Let's talk about Whitechapel, Lost Boy. Here we go.
As I approach to the glass lines of the echoing light, the moon never lies to a wicked eye. Always every tongue and all the takes a flash of an only side. Limitation blood falls through the parallels of our and pain. No man can ever understand the depth of a brain. Take a look at yourself and say consequential to stare into the eyes of a lost boy. Don't let the truth silence our voice.
Wow. Okay. So, I feel like we've got some kind of old school, like back in the day, Whitechapel back with this sound. Holy crap. So right now we have, wow, we've got an impressive, a very standard, typical, and when I say these things, I don't mean it in a bad way. I mean like a signature. Signature is the word I'm looking for. A very signature Phil Bozeman mid, right? It's got that very thin, very tight TV static noise, that strong distortion. And we're going to talk about his distortion in a bit, but the first thing I want to talk about is the way he is going so rapid fire nonstop. Now, there are a lot of bands that are able to do this, but being able to do it well is a different thing. Whitechapel is a band who is extremely good at this. Now, oftentimes when we're trying to rapid fire our vocals, our lyrics, will have this idea that we have to use more air, right? When in actuality, this isn't really true. This is one of the 2 main issues that I run into, you know, teaching people how to do stuff similar to this, right? So when we are doing things like this, it's less about pushing more air and have more about having an extremely steady airflow that is not too constricted. This is a balancing act. This is a balancing act because whenever we're creating distortion, whenever we're like, you know, we're making these like we're making these noises, we are slightly constricting and holding air back. And when we're moving air through that space, we have to be balanced. We have to have a balance of proper resistance with proper pressure underneath, right? And so this is something that builds up over time. This is something that you start off with very low, very loose, or, you know, if you want to go more of a fry route, that's fine too. Literally doesn't matter too much. But essentially you start out low, you start out relaxed, and you start out just getting comfortable. Then you do exercises that are just about holding out your scream easily, right? So once you get more to like this, you get that nice and comfortable. Once you have that, you realize that a lot of this is just about strategically shaping the sound as it comes out. right? You know, there are all sorts of exercises about this. Really, any sort of repetitive articulatory movements are going to work for you. Like one that like nearly everybody is familiar with is like the Melissa Cross, like, you know, monole, medele, poptica, peeptico, right? But having sounds that are like that, like we can use that as an example, right? This is something she came up with, pop, ta, pop. The tongue is kind of moving back and forth. You're bouncing back and forth between those bilabial plosive sounds. So it can be a lot easier. And this is something that you get a lot in rap music as well. But anyways, I'm going to go on for too long and we got a song to listen to. But point is, be strategic with your syllables, pick syllables that are easy to move back and forth between, and focus on your airflow first. Let's keep going. Let's go back a little bit.
Silence our voice. We had the choice to push the boundaries of our own consciousness. Can you not feel the vibrations? Can you not feel the cold blood pumping into your blackened heart? There's a world.
Wait a minute. Hold the phone. Oh my God, I'm such an idiot. I'm so dumb. My vocal self. Hold on, look at this. My vocal self saw this and thought it was like I thought we were looking at vocal anatomy. I thought we were looking like a similar angle as like a laryngoscopy. Oh my God, I was like, whoa, that's so cool. I've never seen vocal anatomy in a music video before, because like this kind of looks like it could be an epiglottis. And then like, or maybe kind of like arytenoid cartilages. Good God. Oh, I feel silly. Let's keep going. Oh my God.
There's a world beyond the surface of our minds, where absolute truth won't vanish from our eyes. Let the spirit divide our mortal sins and pride, and descend together forever. You are mine.
So I know I'm pausing it again really quick. But this is a really great place for us to take a second to talk about his tone, right? So if you're practicing like a Phil Bozeman sound, first of all, don't worry too much about sounding like him. You can use him. Well, you can do whatever you want. You're a grown adult. You make your own choices. But my suggestion is that you use vocalists you like kind of as like inspiration, as like maybe like guideposts, but don't worry too much about getting there so much as what you can learn along the way. It's about what you learn along the way, folks. Not about emulating these people specifically. We talked about that quite in depth last night on the Discord conversation. But anyway, so this would be a great section to practice. It's a lot of held out open sounds, right? And it's going to be easy because you're not going rapid fire, dun 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 dun. It's much more slow like this. Now, one thing that I really like about Phil Bozeman's tone is it has a tight, steady distortion paired with a very open throat. So it creates this like, and he uses his mouth a lot too. We'll talk about that in a second. Well, obviously, we use our mouths when we speak. But he has like this, like if you pull it back, it's very much like this.
There's a world.
Like this sort of tone, right? It's got kind of that like Fry sound and that Fry vibe. It feels kind of like a Fry scream. To me, it also, again, I've talked about this in my other Whitechapel videos. It also feels very arytenoidal. It doesn't feel like your typical like power Fry. So the term goes. But essentially, I think more important than emulating the distortion, because all of us are going to sound a little bit different, and maybe you really love doing like more pure false chord noises, right? Emulating the cavernousness is a really important way to go about it, right? So one thing that you can do is a lot of what Phil Bozeman's mouth looks like, his embouchure when he's screaming, is he's got his lips kind of curled, not always, okay? But he's got his lips kind of curled around his teeth, and he keeps his tongue in a slightly curled position. We're not talking that like guttural position always. That's usually your starting guttural position. But essentially, he's screaming with his tongue up. One thing that I do when I'm practicing my vocals is like 30% of my practice is my clean voice. Like really, like 30 to 35% of my practice. is just my clean voice. And so, there's a world, under pressure of our mind. Can I do that without transferring strain down to my neck? Yeah, absolutely. And you can too, right? Anybody can do that. Anybody can do any of these noises, right? So if I take that, there's a world, right? Again, it sounds more like me than him, but the cavernous property is there. It sounds like he also gives it a little bit of an intentional airflow to it, which is a good strategy for getting a wider tone as well. Like if you're, you know, fully purely balanced between distortion and airflow, it's going to have like an sound. But if I add just a little touch of air, it has kind of a thicker, warmer, richer tone, I think. And I hear a lot of that as well, but let's keep going. Yeah, see, like you can kind of hear it on that hold. Also, I hope you don't mind, I'm doing it with the subtitles on. I've had a couple people ask if I could turn on the subtitles for the actual video in the reaction so they could like see the lyrics. So I figured I would give it a try today. Hopefully it's not too distracting. I think it's actually kind of cool. But one thing I want to talk about also is the way that he kind of changes the pitch and moves the sound around, right? So oftentimes when we are working with our vocals, and we're trying to get sounds louder, what we should be doing is trying to get sounds more resonant. Or if we're trying to get them lower, we should be creating a space inside of our mouth that sort of nourishes the low end frequencies, right? We've got an EQ, like an equalizer, like in the audio recording sense. And it's basically the back of our tongue and curling the tongue. When we create shapes in our mouth that hold the sound waves inside for a little bit longer, the tone tends to sound lower, right? So if I take this, and this is kind of how he controls it as well, and he does it extremely well. If I take this like, right, we'll start there. Now I'm gonna sort of curl my lips, drop my jaw, curl my tongue. Right? Now I'm gonna open up, right? We get kind of a higher tone. Now, I've noticed that for some people, taking a mid and moving it to a high is more difficult than just starting a high. But that can really depend on the person. So really think about your embouchure a lot. Really think about the shape of your mouth. And this is something that you should practice with your clean tone as well. Oh yeah, one thing I also wanted to talk about with going quickly. Sorry, I've got like these angry like Salvador Dali whiskers that are like poking my nose and it's tickling me like crazy. They've been bugging me for the past couple of days. Of course, I am looking kind of a little too scruffy. But anyway, another thing to think about with your airflow is it's okay for it to be kind of tricky on certain consonants. If we think about the phonetics of language and as they apply to our vocalization, a vowel is just an unimpeded airflow, an unimpeded sound resonating. A consonant is a temporary, partial, or complete occlusion or cutting off of that airflow, of that resonance. Now, it's, it can still resonate up through the nose and things like this. So, there's more nuance to it than just this like dichotomy I'm building, but this is a good way to start thinking about it. So essentially, if you are kind of new to screaming and you have a sentence that's like a lot of bilabial sounds, right? Two lips bilabial, right? The bilabial plosive, buh, puh, right? Then essentially you might have difficulty because one thing that a lot of vocalists will do, singers and screamers and everything in between, is on their bilabial sounds, they'll kind of dump air into their mouth. That can actually put pressure down on the vocal anatomy, right? You can kind of try it yourself, not while you're screaming. Do not try it while you're screaming. But if you put your lips together and sort of start filling your mouth with air, you'll feel your larynx start to kind of push down. And that can make it difficult to vocalize, and it can kind of cause strain. Oftentimes when we think about strain, we're only thinking about overuse of muscles, but mismanagement of airflow can cause strain as well. So really think about keeping your consonants snappy, right? Ba, pa, ta, da, ga, right? Really snap through them quickly. And it's a lot about accuracy. So tongue twisters are really good. Anyways, I'd forgotten to say that before, so I wanted to throw it in. Also, like, I just realized we've accidentally been staring at a dump truck for like 2 minutes. Like we've got like a stacked CGI dude. Holy cow. All right. Let's go back to where he slap boxes the guy's arm off. Holy crap. That's nice.
Underneath my shadow is a snake, and it's telling me that I should run far away, but I know its voice will leave, echoing forever, echoing forever.
Let's talk about that. Wow. So we've heard Phil Bozeman sing before, right? This is not the first time that he's done it. And he's got a great voice too. Very, very great voice. Very, very solid, like sort of like rock vocal melodies. I got like sort of Michael Lassard from like the Contortionist / Last Chance to Reason, and also some like Maynard vibes, like kind of Tool, like Tool Chapel almost. And it really was quite cool. I love the amount of reverb and the place they're putting it in the mix. Now, again, I don't do the mixing and mastering for our music, for Kardashev's music, so I'm not going to stand here and like go into detail on that. I'd be a little bit out of my element there. But I like how it's a little bit back. It's a little bit mixed in. It's very soft. One thing that I noticed is he pronounced the word echoing as echoing. Echoing. I think they're echoing. Yeah, I think it was like that. Normally that's kind of like a risky choice when you're singing, because the E sound, E, right? It can be kind of abrasive, but he actually softened it up really nicely, both with his technique as well as the reverb and the mixing helped a lot as well. He's definitely going for a very soft vibe, right? And he's definitely sort of got a little bit of a mumble sing going on. Now, when I say this, I don't mean he's not being articulate. I mean, it's got like a similar sense of support and a similar sense of production, like not audio production, like vocal production of the sound. So like, I don't remember the melody, so I'm just going to kind of make things up as I go here. But if I'm singing, Sufjan Stevens, why not? Hey, it's been a long, long time since I've memorized your face. It's been 4 hours now since I've wandered through your place. There, right? You can see how there's not a lot of, ooh, I almost knocked something over. There's not a lot of extraneous work going on here. It's very much about taking your voice, kind of putting it in the front. Hey, it's been a long, long time since I've memorized your face. Hey, no. Like singing. One way that you can kind of get a feel for this tone slightly is to sort of gently put your lips together and hum, right? This is a super common thing. Right? Whatever melody you want. You can also do it through grit teeth. Hey, it's been a long time since I memorized your face. The grit teeth thing is just to kind of help you start opening up. It's not going to be very valuable for you while you sing. It's going to really occlude things. It's going to make things very, very difficult. But you can start opening your mouth a little bit to get the sound down. Let's hear that again, because I want to get kind of a better handle on the melody here. I don't really know where it started. Maybe here? Why not? We'll start here regardless. That was sick. I want to listen to a little bit of that outro again because there was a lot going on there. Those are some really neat transitions exiting the song. So we had his, demon defiles a witch type of singing. How does it burn when a demon defiles a witch? Right, kind of like that sort of sound, leading into the very aggressive, big, huge, like mid-level screams. And then after like the extremely fast and kind of frenetic guitar solo, we go into like sort of a down tempo section. So that's a really great way to kind of like pull everything together, building contrast in a way that works. That was really, really cool. One like random thing I want to talk about is the way that we can create our R sounds. So the sound is a tricky sound for a lot of non-English speakers. But it's a tricky, and that's not to say English is the only language that has the sound. I'm just saying it's one of the primary ones, or it's one of the ones that uses the sound primarily. Ah, man, jeez, had to tap dance around that. But English is one of the languages that has in the forefront, and you would think that makes it easy to scream. Not necessarily. There are two general ways, and there's actually a really great video on this. So Wired's YouTube channel has like this accent guy, and I think he talked about this. I think it was him. If it's not, I'm sorry. But there are two ways that people make the sound. Some people make it with the back of the tongue, and this can of course change regionally and things like this. But some people use the front of the tongue. And sometimes you don't know which one you do. So if you suck air in, again, this is something I learned from a video. This isn't my I wasn't sitting around in my office and I'm like, ooh, discovery, right? So if you suck in air after you say an the air will kind of make cold the section of your tongue that you're changing. Now, where am I going with all this? Well, generally the curled tongue in the front R is going to be a lot easier for the majority of our metal vocals. The reason why is it simply occludes the mouth less. If I'm pulling up the back of my tongue, I'm starting to change the shape, literally the volume and shape of the inside of my mouth, right? The inside of our mouth is kind of like a magical room that we can like snap our fingers and it like gets smaller and bigger and like grows a bookshelf. And now there's like an ottoman in the middle of the room, right? It's kind of how our mouth works, and kind of the reason why it's so important to understand like basic phonetics, right? If you really like want to get into metal vocals and you don't necessarily just want to find a lot of sounds by getting lucky, doing some basic research. All the information's free on the internet. It's easy to find. Some basic research into phonetics and the way that we produce sound is really, really helpful. Anyways, so if I'm curling my tongue, the front of my tongue, not only is that less so for most people, occluding the airway, occluding meaning like partially or fully closing off, but it's also going to help bounce those sound waves around in the mouth. So it's actually, in a way, creating a little bit more space. And you can kind of hear it too. So if I do a low with the in the back, so that's the in the front. That's the in, oh, I'm sorry. That's the in the front. The first one was the in the back, right? Play with both, get good at both, but that's something to think about. Anyways, let's go back. You know what? Let's go back. I want to hear the outro from that guitar solo. 248. Why the heck not? Lovely, lovely. Okay, so I'll go ahead and turn this off here. Bloop. So let's start kind of wrapping it up here. Let's talk about the takeaways from this video. So number one is it's hot in this frickin' room. Number one is one of the most important things if you're going to start doing long held out vocals or rapid fire vocals is understanding your airflow, right? Making sure that you are utilizing your airflow in a way where you are managing a balance between the occlusion, the purposeful occlusion, the purposeful engagement or adduction of whichever structures you're creating your distortion with, along with the balance of the air pressure from underneath, right? Because we're going to be creating air pressure in our lungs and we need to manage that well. Another thing is that the resistance of that airflow is a physically taxing feat, you know, when you're first getting started. And even when you're a veteran vocalist, right? It's a resistance exercise. So your muscles need to be strong. So work up to that over time. It's a long-term thing, right? Very few people just bust out these screams 2-3 days into trying, right? It's not typical. The second thing is having a basic understanding of vowels, vowel shapes is going to be helpful. And listen, like if you don't have like a lot of time in your day to like read up on phonetics, or if like you find the material a little bit dry, because it is a little bit dry, you've got everything in your body that people have been studying, right? So you can be like, you know what? I'm going to make vowel sounds for 20 minutes while I drive and just see where they sit. That's a really good thing for metal vocalists to do. Don't think that all your practice has to be screaming. Some of your practice can be just understanding how sounds feel inside of your head. E, ooh, hey, ma, ah, you, right? Sounds stupid, but all of those sound very distinctly different. Then if you're wanting to go for like a type of distortion similar to this, start low and slow. Start even with maybe just a breath. Play around with that breath and kind of feel different ways that you can manipulate the airflow. From there, you know, start with the basics. Start with your very basic false chord sound, your very basic fry sound, like at the level where it doesn't even sound like a scream yet, because it's got to take time. And you can slowly, right? You can kind of get there. And then finally, for this singing, why do I always get a patch of like, why do I always get sweaty here? Like, what is, like, am I a mutant? Is this my X-Men power? What a crappy X-Men power. Anyway, last but not least, if you're trying to get into singing clean, understand that the fundamentals are going to apply to a lot of this. And then what we do with those fundamentals is kind of where it changes the direction. But, you know, just humming along some scales. Right. Mumble sing a little bit purposefully. Just kind of get comfortable with the idea of having your voice activated. And go slow and you'll be fine. Anyway, thank you all to everybody. Thank you to everybody who got this far. I know that since I'm running on a fraction of the sleep I should have gotten, I wasn't my normal peppy self, so I tried to supplement that by giving you as much information as I could to make this valuable and worthwhile. But if you enjoyed the content, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. It really does mean a lot to us on the Kardavox Academy team. It means a whole great deal to us. Feel free to leave us a comment below. Let us know you had a good time. And if you really enjoy the content, come hang out with us on Patreon, on our Discord. You get to vote on a video each month. We have events every Friday night. I try to make as many of those as I can. Usually they go on for a long time. We do listening parties. We play games. It's a good time. So beyond that, it's nap time. Nap time for Mark. Nap time for Kardavox Academy. Many thanks. Much love. Good night.